This is the best budget basher you can buy, bar none. I've done things to this sub-$100 RC that you ought not to do, such as getting sand all up in that motor at the beach, splashing in some pretty deep water, doing all-wheel drive donuts on the daily, and the ultimate stress test, I handed the transmitter over to my folks.
Oh, that was sick.
Well, every RC has its limits. It can be a little bit confusing because there is two variants. One has a B in the name, which commonly gets confused with it being brushless. It is not. They're both brush motors, but the B is the one you want to get because the B stands for bash. The B variant is definitely the one you want, considering it's usually the exact same price. They share the exact same frame or chassis. Only notable difference being that the Bravo variant uses a 540 size brush motor, and the regular A959 sports a 390. And obviously the electronics and battery are larger to support that larger motor. The gearing is also taller for more top speed. The three that we are reviewing here today, I did buy on Amazon. I've had all of them for over 2 years. One of them I've had for like 5 years. All three of these units have been bashed and thrashed down, sideways, and across, up and down the block and the boulevard, basically. And all of mine are on the stock motors, stock electronics, stock everything. And I do still have the stock batteries, although I did purchase extras on Amazon, which will also be linked down in the description below because they don't really last that long. The best thing about this RC, in my opinion, is the fact that not only can it take quite a pounding in its stock configuration right out of the box, it's RTR or ready to run variant, which is linked in the description below. That is going to be the B, the Bravo. That's the one that you want, which has the 540 motor, not the 390. Electronics, taller gearing to match. It rips hard. A quick disclaimer, I purchased all three of these buggies and any accessories that you see in the video with my hard-earned shekels or ducats. WLToys doesn't even know I exist. When I say it like that, it's hella depressing. It's not a sponsored video. If anything breaks on that RC, all the plastic parts can be replaced very easily, very inexpensively, or you can even get an all ready-to-run rolling chassis of all metal parts for around 60 to 80 bucks from something like Alibaba, Wish, Temu, the websites that have been getting better over the years, but they're still like, ooh, pretty cringy and scary to use. I don't use them often. Maybe use a burner email account or something. Turn knuckles and moose knuckles and a metal drive shaft instead of plastic, because these are all-wheel drive and do come with a plastic drive shaft. So if you do break anything, replace the plastic parts with metal bits, or as a preemptive measure, go ahead and get the all-aluminum kit, since generally when RCs take a pounding, the plastic bits tend to not do so well. The cheap plastics, that is. Some of the better ones will flex and warp, are really good at bashing. This one, not so much. That is the weakness for sure, is the plastics, but the motor, the electronics, the transmitter, the batteries, well, the charger is a piece of crap, but the battery. But if you want to take a more DIY approach and build your own, you can get the metal rolling chassis, which is linked in the description below. And then I'll also, a lot of links down there, watch out, don't stub your toe or anything, have another link for this electronics kit, which you see on screen here, which has everything you need. But that ain't enough. If you want to take it a step further, you can replace the electronics and the motor with a brushless conversion kit, and you will be, I don't know about gapping, but you'll be definitely keeping up with some more expensive RC cars like your buddy's Traxxas. I don't know which model, but you know, one of them. He's got one of them. But for the average guy or gal that just wants to throw this to their kid to smack around and not worry about it too much, or wants to have some good, clean fun with it themselves, all you really need to do is pick up a pack of extra batteries. You're gonna burn through it having so much fun. Want the fun to not stop, like Pringles. Once you pop that throttle, the fun don't stop, just like the donuts won't until a tire pops off.
Meanwhile, you two were standing around, finger popping each other's assholes.
We're not finger popping each other's assholes.
And I mentioned the DIY project of taking that rolling chassis and putting the electronics in it, even brushless swapping it. I am going to have tutorials in the near future. So if that tickles you in the nether regions, go ahead and subscribe immediately. Don't delay, because you'll forget about it, no doubt. So just, I'll take a quick breather, suck down this water, because I'm dry as the Mojave Desert. You can subscribe. welcome aboard. You are in the right place. A couple more recommendations from an owner's perspective. I just use the stock charger. You don't need to get some big expensive charger for this thing. This ain't that kind of RC car. It is hobbyist grade. You can tell that from the transmitter and the out of the box speeds, which are, you know, pretty blistering, honestly. But what I'd recommend doing is replacing the tires, those knobbies, which aren't really that great off-road. And this RC is pretty low to the ground, low ground clearance. You can off-road it, you can bash it off-road, but in my opinion, it's better on road. And along those lines, I would recommend replacing the knobby tires and getting some more street oriented tires, not slicks necessarily, unless you're only going to be taking it to your local hobby track, which is paved and slick. But if you're just going to be ripping this thing in the street, maybe some street oriented tires like you see on screen here. Also, the suspension is freakishly soft and it is oil filled, but it's really low quality oil filled shocks. They're budget parts bin specials. So if you're going to keep this thing as your dedicated basher in the long run, I'd recommend replacing the shocks, which luckily the rolling chassis does have better shocks than the stalker, but you could even upgrade those further if you're a hobbyist and this kind of stuff excites you and you like tinkering. You don't just like bashing, you also like tinkering and fixing the things that you break. But you can adjust the stock suspension and it is way too soft out of the box to where when you drop it from a very low height, it'll bottom out. I'd recommend stiffening all those puppies if you're going to take it off any jumps. Well, this is a funky chicken. This is the most expensive I've seen this puppy in I was gonna say in a minute, but in hours to days ever, actually, because generally it's around $80 to $90. It's $110 right now. Not what you should pay for it.
Cheap too, it's like 40 bucks. Yeah, man.
Now, these are constantly on sale. Stroll down some back alleys that you ought not to be walking down on the internet. You could find the sucker for cheaper for sure. Or if you find a time machine or anything like that, jump in that sucker. Swirly bird that bitch back to like 4 or 5 years ago when these things were like 65, 70 bucks and I scooped up my first one. But as you can see, they do have some replacement parts here, which is wonderful. Batteries, which are going to be linked in the description below. This is a full metal kit to replace all of your plastic bits and bobs. Skid plate on Skid Row. If you already plan on ripping out the motor and the electronics and going brushless, then just get the A959. They make it so confusing because they put the B in here and stuff. It's not. This variant's the A959, which will top out at about 45 kilometers an hour, which is lower in freedom units, obviously, but the price is also lower on this sleazy website. Reminder, this buggy is not suitable for children under 36 months or 3 years. You should probably be a little bit older than 3 years old to be ripping an A959. Top speed on the B is claimed at 70 kilometers an hour, which is about 43 miles per hour. But IRL strapping a little GPS niblet to the top of it or using a cop speed gun or something like that, you're probably going to discover it's a little bit lower than that, more around 40, which is still righteously fast. And it might even be lower than that. It really depends on a ton of factors, most importantly being your battery condition, 100%, 80%, what tires, and if there's any incline or grade in your road that you might not see, even with your cockeyed eyes. Regardless, that is dubiously quick, and what's more important than its quickness and its slickness, the durability, the fact that the plastic pieces, if they do break on you, you can replace them with the metal bits, which are pretty damn cheap on Amazon. Those will last you a knocking and keep on shocking. All of the things that I mentioned will be linked in the description below. I've seen a lot of clones of this buggy. If one or two of them came before the WLToys and the WLToys itself is a clone, please let me know that down there in the description below. I don't think it is, considering this thing has been out for years. I remember watching a YouTube video from Kevin Talbot like 6 or 7 years ago of him beating the titty nips off this thing. WLToys, you've done something special there with that buggy you have.
Yeah.
It's linked in the description below. I recommend it, obviously. The whole video I've been recommending it. I don't know why my voice sounds like this right now. I guess because I'm thinking about ripping the buggy right now and it's turning me into a different man. A myth, a legend, a machine. Okay. Please subscribe and I will see you in the next video.